The theme here is the theme that was really last year and started building as the year went on. It's different business models, different ways to do business.
Welcome to Travel Matters, the official podcast of TBEX. Here are your hosts, the radio vagabond, Palabo, and TBEX CEO, Rick Calvert.
Welcome to Travel Matters and Rick Calvert. We are now in Greece.
Yes, we are.
We are now in Greece, and I'm going to put out this episode as soon as we've recorded it. So this is recorded today.
The pressure's on.
The pressure's on. and we're about to kick off in a day and a half. People are on pre-BEX trips right now, and there's another day tomorrow where a bunch of exciting pre-BEX trips. But we thought we'd sit down with the good man who's in charge of most of it here, Shane Dallas.
Thank you. Wonderful to be here, and it's a great gentleman because I can look past you and see the absolutely placid waters of the Mediterranean Sea. It's tremendous, and it's a bright, sunny day.
So we shouldn't be offended if we don't have your eye contact.
No, I'm gazing. It's drawing my gaze. I'm compelled to look at the watery expanse.
Yeah, we have a wonderful view here, and we're in the corner. We decided to get close to the window and have a nice view, and listen how quiet it is now. And then
Palle's in heaven.
I'm in heaven.
Future episodes will not be this quiet.
No,
sorry, Palle.
We are in the networking area where all the sponsors are going to be, and there's going to be a ton of people here, and I'm going to be struggling with the sound as always, but that's the way we like it. But speaking of the speed networking area, Rick, there's something going on that you want to address about the whole speed networking.
Well, there was some discussion from attendees in the Facebook group about speed networking because several people thought, they were requesting appointments and sponsors weren't confirming appointments with them.
Mm-hmm.
And the people were like, they should confirm these appointments with us. And I guess my what I tried to explain to some people on Facebook is that some sponsors will confirm appointments. Some sponsors won't. They don't want to confirm appointments. They want to just have people walk up. And that is not unique to TBEX.
No.
Going to other events, as I do, where I'm requesting appointments with people, the overwhelming majority of people at any conference, trade show, whatever you go to, when you request appointments, are never going to reply to you.
Mm-hmm.
But you shouldn't let that discourage you from seeking them out when you get there and trying to meet with them. Because here we have the preset appointments that happen each afternoon, but we also have the sponsor showcase here is all day, both days, where you can just walk up and talk to anybody. If they're open, go talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
And also we have the networking events here. There's 2 of them in the evenings, which again are made to go up and talk to people.
Yeah.
And at lunch, both days are made. It's open seating. There's not assigned seats where you can go up and talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
And my general point is, I think we should also address here that here in Greece in particular, it's just a cultural thing where they do things last minute. They do things differently. It just is that way. Our partners here in Greece saw that Facebook discussion and said, I see people really want to have these meetings. I'm going to call them. So they actually called all the sponsors in Greece and told them, hey, go and check in Blogger Bridge and accept your appointments.
Yeah, because it could also be that they're not used to the Blogger Bridge platform. And
that's a little bit, but it's every event has its own platform. You got to learn how to do it. But that's part of participating in an event. And that was another thing I was going to say. One of the ways you set yourself apart as an exhibitor or as an attendee at any event is by using the appointment setting sponsor software if it's there, using it because you're showing that you're more professional than most of the other people. And I think that was an important message in the discussion. And again, several attendees mentioned it, said, hey, we spent a lot of money to come here. We want to meet with sponsors. We're not just here for fun.
Yeah.
We want to do business. And that's an important thing that we're always telling DMOs and brands in the travel industry, that the people who come to TBEX are not hobbyists. This is their job. If it's not their full-time job, it's their part-time job.
Yeah.
With the goal of it being their full-time job,
exactly.
they're in transition.
Yeah.
And they're very serious about it. And so that discussion really kind of highlighted that. And I just wanted people to, people are right to be frustrated, for sure.
Yeah.
But we can't force people to make appointments. We just can't. So
yeah, but looking at the room, and I see all the name tags on the tables. I recognize a bunch of them, and then I see that there are some that sound Greek and some of the familiar faces. Who are the sponsors that people can meet here? Is it a mix of international and Greeks?
And so one thing that you'll see here this year, this event versus last year, is you see more of the traditional companies who will come to every TBEX coming back, where last year there was fewer of them because we're still coming back from COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Stay 22 is the one that sticks out in my head, that they've been a sponsor of TBEX for a couple of years now, but I hear people talking about them all the time. All the time. They're very aggressive at doing business with creators. That's one sticks out in my head.
Yeah.
Other than that, and this is another important thing I wanted to mention, because somebody specifically mentioned the mythical Peloponnese region not confirming appointments. They don't have a tourist board, for anybody who didn't know. There is no tourist board for this region. This hosting TBEX was a special one-off, over and above effort of the government without a tourist board. And there are actually very, very few tourist boards in Greece as an entire country. There's the GNTO, and then there's Athens, and then there's a couple of regional tourist boards, and that's it. So Visit Meteora, who's a TBEX sponsor, amazing. Like the last time we were here, that was one of the most famous fam trips ever. The people went on the Meteora fam trip. Visit Meteora is not a tourist board. That's a tour operator who got the name Visit Meteora.
Oh.
And George is like, again, he's got, there's its own mythology around George because he's so good at working with travel bloggers. But that's not even a tourist board. So it is unusual for them to do this.
Yeah.
And part of them hosting TBEX is educating themselves on how to work with travel bloggers and how to educate other stakeholders here on how they should be working with travel bloggers. A lot of times when we go to a place, Mexico, Cancun is one sticks out in my mind, where so many people said after we were there, oh, I get it now. I'm going to do a lot more work with bloggers now than before. And we were telling them for a year ahead of time, yeah, you should be doing this. But it took them to actually be there in the room and seeing it happen to go, oh,
I get
this
it.
is what we should do. Like, yeah, we told you.
And it was like, duh.
Yeah. But it's incredible how many brands, and it's not just in tourism, it's in everything, really still don't understand the value of working with creators, how to work with creators, how to pick the right creator, I heard on the bus coming here from Athens to Kalamata. It's a 3-hour drive from Athens to Kalamata, and that's the easiest way to get here. It's a nice road, toll road.
Beautiful landscape.
But the bloggers I was traveling with, a couple of them speakers, saying, oh, yeah, I only use Instagram because sponsors want me to. It does nothing for me, and I don't think they get anything out of it. When really the value to them is what I do on my blog. Mm-hmm. And I don't even think they know why they ask me to post reels and carousels and images on TikTok, but it's in their contract. They want me to do these things.
Yeah.
That's part of our job as creators, is to be educating our brand partners on what's really going to add value to them.
Yeah.
Right? And somebody said, yeah, that's what I tell my brands. I'm like, look, okay, here's what you're going to get from my Instagram posts, and this is how many followers I have. But this is what you're going to get from my blog with long-term SEO ranking and long-time driving traffic specifically to you, where people are booking tours or hotels or whatever it may be. And the difference is not comparable. You're going to get exponentially more value out of what I do on my blog versus what I do for you on Instagram.
Yeah.
But there's always something new, some shiny new object. Like now it's TikTok, that captures brands' attention, because the media, the traditional media, they hype it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's value in those things, but Shane, we're talking about this in Africa. Owning your website is the only thing you own on the internet. And owning your email list, those are the things you own. You don't own Facebook or TikTok or Instagram or any of those other things. You always should be building your brand on your website. And in Africa, as you were saying, people don't typically have a website. Even tour operators, even attractions, they just have Facebook.
Yeah, in Africa generally, it's social media first or social media only, and this is for African consumers. So if they're pitching to someone, say in North America, then a website course is very important. But getting the local market, I can show you Kenya's largest tour operator for outbound tourists. They have a website, but on their Facebook post, they only contact is WhatsApp messages. That's it. Mm-hmm. And because it is social media first or only. And that's all throughout sub-Saharan Africa.
And you also said there's a policy there where Facebook is free, the rest of the internet is not.
That's right. So if I have a look at this tour operator and I see something, I have free Facebook, I then use WhatsApp, which is free. If I have to go to their website, suddenly it costs me. So therefore...
For internet access.
Yeah, for internet access. But Facebook and WhatsApp in Kenya are free. Therefore, you can do a whole transaction. You can pay for the services and everything, whether it's travel or shoes or anything else, and not even visit a website ever. And this is quite common.
And that's also in the Philippines, I think.
Philippines, South Africa has a form of it as well. They have different, but free Facebook is quite popular in these countries. And so the problem is, the challenge is there for people, is a content creator wanting to attract fellow Africans. How do they convince their audience to come across and pay more or come across to a website? For me, the best way is product, services, a discount of a favourite brand they might like that they cannot get on social media, but they need an incentive where they will save, not just information. There has to be a product or service. That's from living there for 7 years. That's what I've seen.
Yeah, and the reason you know so much about Africa is because you've been living in Kenya for years, and you guys were both in South Africa recently. No,
I was.
You weren't, but we're going to do a whole special episode about TBEX Durban, but not in this one.
The reason I brought it up, Pally, I brought Shane in there is because we were having this discussion right now about what's our content going to be in Africa, and Shane's like, they are not going to be as interested in blogging topics because of this business model there where Facebook is free and other services cost, and it's just there's so many creators there that just don't have a blog, period. Their whole presence is on social. And myself and Tamiko, Tim, I think, is more neutral. We're saying that doesn't matter. We're still going to teach people the right way to do it, even though that's not the way they do it there. And so we were having this discussion of...
Yeah, but even though they don't do it in Africa, they would still recognize that it's important in other countries, and the people
that
who
was
are
our point.
going
if
to
you want to
visit.
attract a customer from the U.S. who spends the most money of any tourist in the world, or Europe, then you need a website. And if you're going to be a blogger, and this is, again, a thing that we tell brands all the time, you guys know this, brands will want to invite a blogger from the UK because they think the UK or the UK is their number one inbound market. And we always tell them, so what? The internet is worldwide.
It's literally in the name.
Yeah, it's in the name. It doesn't matter if you're English-speaking content. It doesn't matter where your blogger's from and who's going to see the content. This is why we tell people they should hire locals to create, because that's their best resource. They live there. You don't have to fly them in to do things.
Yeah.
And if they're writing English content and they're following best practices, you're going to get travelers from all over the world.
Yeah.
So it's the same way in Africa as well. And I'm hoping when we go there that we can have some impact in people understanding on the creator side, hey, this is a thing I own versus a thing that social media companies let me have at their whim, and that they can change the rules at any moment and wipe out my entire business versus something I can sustain for the long term, right? But we also have to be mindful of the way it actually is. We can't just say, oh, this is utopia and this is the way it should be. We have to be mindful of reality.
We need the strategy for them to convince their audience.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a difficult sell to convince content creators that you've got to have a website, but it's convincing their audience. That's where the challenge is. And I've already got some ideas that I think where we can do that, because I know of some content creators, one in Kenya and one in South Africa, that do that. They offer tours through their website. They offer travel consulting services through their website. And to me, that's a perfect way to bring someone in away from social media onto a website.
Right.
You're listening to Travel Matters, the official podcast of TBEX, the home of travel media.
Let's talk about this conference that is kicking off in a few days. Shane, you've been, again, working with the team and coming up with ideas of what we should bring to the table. And I know you from previous conferences that you always have kind of a theme. So what's the theme for this one?
The theme here is the theme that was really last year and started building as the year went on. It's different business models, different ways to do business. So we found through the pandemic that a lot of traditional business models that content creators had used weren't working as well. So we'll hear today from some speakers how they became an accredited real estate agent, how they become inbound tour operator, looking differently rather than just getting numbers on the website and getting, click for views on an affiliate site, how you can become more of an entrepreneur. And so for me, business models is number one. Video is critically important, number two as well. So I think those two, and then of course SEO is always there. But for me, business models, different ways of doing business, and video, these would be the two major takeaways from this event.
I think that's people are going to be speaking about over when they're having coffee or lunch is the whole AI. But that's happened so fast in the last couple of months, and we're not covering that in this one.
I'll tell you what happened. I got back from Phuket, and before Christmas, I had TBEX filled for Kalamata. Effectively, it was full.
Yeah.
And AI only started becoming really noticeable after all the sessions had been allocated. So it will be happening in Eau Claire, definitely. But it was just because we now fill our sessions quite a few months out.
Yeah.
And therefore, by the time it became as big as it is now, we had no room.
Yeah, and if somebody said, oh, we got to have some AI back then, before TBEX in Thailand, you would say, yeah, I know it's there.
It was a fringe topic just in November.
I can't believe that it's just exploded.
We will have a keynote talk about AI in Eau Claire. And the woman's name's Julia McCoy. She's the president of a company called Content at Scale. And she went through an evolution in her belief in AI from December. She said, absolutely, this is not going to replace people yet. It's not even close to human quality content, to in January becoming the president of a company specializing in AI content at Scale, saying, I was totally wrong.
And that's what happened.
That's how quickly it's moving.
I finalised my schedule effectively in December. So it wasn't even on the table then.
No.
I will talk about this tomorrow or 2 days from now in the morning at the keynote, that you have to be researching AI right now. If you're a content creator, you have to start using it right now. Okay? Not next week, not 6 months from now, or not kidding yourself. And I've seen these arguments on Facebook and blogger groups about same thing. Oh, it's not the same, and it'll never replace us. That's the wrong way to think of it. That's what journalists said about social media. They'll never replace us.
Just last week, I found a website that can clone my voice.
Right.
And it's not perfect, but it sounded a hell of a lot. Yeah,
Maybe
that's
next
what
month.
That's what I'm thinking. It's not perfect, but give it 6 months, give it a year.
And should
It's
you
gonna be
wait until
scary.
that happens, or should you know it now? So when it is perfect,
I'm playing around with it now.
Yes.
And so you and I, when we do these episodes, we got a lot of interviews, and then we have to sit down. You somewhere in Utah, me somewhere in the world, and record an intro and an outro. We can just do that with AI now.
right? And so this is what a lot of people talk about: is that it's not human, it's not authentic, and that's true. What AI can replace are the mundane tasks that free up your time to allow you to be more creative and create even better content.
Yeah.
That's the way you have to think about it. And if you learn how to use this tool now, again, going back to the journalist who refused to switch from his typewriter to a word processor, well, that sounds pretty stupid today, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and your competitor has a nuclear bomb and you have a knife, you lose.
Yeah.
And you have to adopt this tool right now. If you're a serious professional content creator, you are failing at your job by not learning everything you can about AI right now.
I'm sure this is something that we're going to be speaking to some of our guests here. But let's, instead of talking about something that's not on the schedule here, let's talk a little bit more about what is coming up.
Can I give you one more that's not on the schedule here?
Okay.
Shane, I'm going to tell Shane on air on the podcast. This is another session we have to have in Eau Claire, is on lemonade. I don't know. Look, Palais never even heard of it yet.
Lemonade?
I'm breaking news. It's LEMON, the number 8, lemonade. So it's like a cross between, the best description I've heard is between TikTok and Pinterest. It's the fastest growing social media app in the world now. It's also similar to Pinterest. It's especially popular with young women.
Okay.
It's freaking awesome. I signed up for it on the bus down here.
I have a feeling that I'm going to listen to this episode in a couple of years, and I'm so embarrassed that I didn't know what it was.
Well, it's brand new, okay? But again, it is the number 1 downloaded social media app in the world now.
Really?
Right now. And the question is, that somebody just asked me, interviewing me for the local newspaper, well, is it going to be like the next TikTok, or is it going to be the next Mastodon? I don't know. But that's the point. You have to always be paying attention.
It's got to be the next MySpace.
Well, MySpace was the biggest social media app in the world before Facebook killed them.
Yeah.
And, Twitter may or may not survive. It's not the same as it was, right? Yeah. You never know. Snapchat, I would say, we did sessions on Snapchat. We don't do them anymore. I think it's a fringe app. There's still a significant audience there, but it's not the same. And again, TikTok was nothing before COVID.
No.
It's the dominant social media app now. So it's always changing. This is the reason we have a conference about this stuff, because it's always changing. So I'm sorry.
And it's like, was it a year ago, a year and a half ago, where everybody was talking about Clubhouse?
Yes.
And it's still there, but not really. Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
And this is the interesting thing, too, because Pinterest used to be the number 2 source of traffic for a lot of bloggers who really used Pinterest. It was Google SEO number 1, and then Pinterest. Yeah, that's really faded because things have changed. And so you have to always be paying attention and always adapting if you want to either be the best or remain the best at what you do.
Do you have the lemonade?
No, I don't. And I had not heard of it either. So you mean
let's see how many hands go up tomorrow. I'm going to ask in the keynote, or 2 days from now. Sorry, I'm going to ask how many people have lemonade. So
okay, if people listen to this, then they'll look into it.
I guarantee you, it'll be more women than men.
Thank you for sharing travel matters with your friends and followers on social media. You're the best.
So what's on the schedule?
There's plenty. Well, there's a lot about advanced content marketing. Again, business models. Kaz Makepeace is talking about how you can earn an income from your site without worrying about the algorithm. and she talks about how due to algorithm changes, their numbers went down to a 10th. Yet they managed to increase the income by being creative and being more entrepreneurial.
Her and Craig's business model changed a whole lot during
changed
COVID.
Their whole model.
Yeah.
We have here how to pitch bylines. Michael Turtle from Australia, fellow Aussie, is talking about how there's a story about how a guy survives a Komodo dragon attack in Indonesia. And he has it on his site. So whenever there is a Komodo dragon attack, he ranks very highly when people are searching. So his website stats, whenever there's a Komodo attack, go right up. So there's different techniques with learning about how to approach traditional media. Yeah. So, for example, how to talk about, say, you're the local person who's doing something overseas, and then once they hear from you, it can expand. Yeah. And so there are so many examples. It's a very rich and varied program for this edition of TBEX.
Yeah. So Michael's going around the world letting loose Komodos around just to boost his...
Sicking Komodo dragons on people.
I can tell you, have you ever seen one? There is no way you're going to have one near you. You're not going to put it on your carry-on, I can assure you.
And they are... They bite you or do something, and you have some poison, and then they just basically wait for you to die.
They have a venomous bite.
Yeah.
So if they bite you, you need help. Or
they don't kill you there. They just wait for you to die.
Yeah. But we've got SEO. We've got Brendan Bliss talking about SEO. He has one of the feedback. I always read feedback, and one of the feedback we've had to TBEX is we want advanced SEO, and this guy is really advanced. And he showed me his presentation, and this was not for TBEX. This was for another conference, which wasn't a content creator conference. And I picked my jaw up off the floor. I thought, this is amazing. He has deliberately looked at all travel content creators, people coming here, and he has tailored it for content creators about what sort of posts you need to write and the current trends in the industry. He's got a double session. It is very, very impressive.
Wow.
And the reason I like Brennan, and this is something we will be doing especially from next year, is that we will get people delivering SEO, and that is their job. Their job is SEO. They know this better than anyone. So content creators, everyone knows it. We all know a little bit of SEO. But you get someone who works in it 35, 40 hours a week, you know their level is going to be something we can all learn off. Anything else we should know going into the conference? Remember that there are so many choices for you that if you can't see a session, we record them. So don't get too despairing. If maybe I should see half of this session and half of that one. No, don't worry. Just see the one you want, and then, of course, watch it on video later. Yeah. And that's also the JOMO, the joy of missing out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to the whole thing, and we are bringing you back in Travel Matters to talk a little bit more about TBEX South Africa, the first TBEX in the African continent, and coming up in October. Any final words? You have one more thing? I don't have one more thing right now. Okay. I'll say one thing. I normally do have one more things, but not this time. I'll give you one more thing. I think for everyone listening to this, TBEX, and there's quite a few first-timers who have experience in the industry, and I said this to the first time I was at TBEX in Dublin, 2013, it's my 10th year, is I walked into TBEX, I knew nobody. I walked into a room of strangers, and I left the conference surrounded by friends. Yep. And this is exactly what TBEX does. So if you're listening to this, and this is your first TBEX, there is no better place to learn about the industry and network and meet business and do business deals than TBEX. So you are in a very good place. And I just put 9 stars on my badge. So this is my 9th TBEX. And arriving last night and just seeing, it's like meeting the extended family here. And it's absolutely lovely. Once you've done a few, you get some familiar faces, and that's great. Is there going to be a first-timer session this year? Yes, I'll be running that. I'll be running that in the morning. It's a little bit later than normal. What time? It is 8:15. So normally it's 8. It's 8:15 this time. 8:15. 8:15, and it will be in the upstairs section. Just ask someone on the registration area, and they'll point you. And I will go through the basics of. And even if you haven't been to TBEX for a while, why not? Even if you haven't been to TBEX a while, there are still things you can learn. So this is my 11th actually. So I've learned a few things both as a speaker, which I was before, and also as a conference director. Yeah.
Thank you so much, and welcome to TBEX. And this has been the first Travel Matters from TBEX Europe in Greece, in Kalamata in 2023. We'll be back with much more, so make sure that you stay subscribed to Travel Matters. See ya.
You've been listening to Travel Matters, the official podcast of TBEX. This episode of Travel Matters was hosted by TBEX CEO Rick Calvert and Radio Vagabond Palabo, and produced by radioguru.co.uk. See more about upcoming TBEX events on tbexcon.com. You can follow Palabo on theradiovagabond.com.